Which is better, the Moto G Power or the Moto G Stylus? Well, in this video, we're gonna find out. Hi everyone, this is Kevin here, coming at you with my comparison between the Moto G Power and Moto G Stylus. These two phones are two very recent devices from Motorola, and they have many similarities, but quite a few differences as well. Now, the Moto G Power is currently being offered for $249, and the Moto G Stylus is being offered for $299. Now, these are the prices if you want to buy these phones factory unlocked. And what factory unlocked means is that you can use them with any carrier. So if one day you want to use them with AT&T, and then the next day you want to use them with Verizon, you could do that. Now, both devices will be making their way over to carriers as well. And if you do want to save some money, then you might want to go that route. But if you do want maximum flexibility and freedom, then I would say go the factory unlocked route. And if you want to see the most up-to-date pricing for either of these two phones, because I'm sure over time the prices will go down, then take a look at the links in the video description. Now, the Moto G Power is the successor to the Moto G7 Power that came out last year. And the Moto G Stylus is the first stylus device that Motorola has offered in quite a while. Now, both phones feature displays at 6.4 inches. They're both IPS LCD displays. They're both 1080p. And you can see that they both look super crisp and clear. With both phones, we're getting a PPI of 399, a 19:9 aspect ratio, and an 83% screen-to-body ratio. So both phones feature the same exact panel on the front. In fact, everything on the front is the same. They both have the same sized bottom bezel. They both have the same placement for the front-facing camera. So many similarities in that regard. In addition to that, with both devices, we're getting 16 megapixel front-facing cameras. Now with the Moto G Power, we're getting 64 gigabytes of internal storage, compared to the Moto G Stylus, where we get 128 gigs of storage. Now both phones do feature microSD card expansion though, to expand that storage. But essentially with the Moto G Stylus, we are getting twice the amount of internal storage. Now, neither of these two devices support wireless charging. They both have fingerprint sensors on the back, and they both work very quickly and smoothly. So you can see very quick there with the Moto G Power. And then with the Moto G Stylus, very quick as well. Now, both devices do lack Face Unlock. So if you want a phone with Face Unlock, you're not going to get it with either of these two phones. Now, taking a look at the back of the two devices, we do have the camera modules. And at first glance, they look very similar, but there are some very big differences here. So for the main camera with both devices, so with the Moto G Power, we're getting a 16 megapixel main camera compared to a 48 megapixel main camera with the Moto G Stylus. And then with the Moto G Power, we're getting an 8 megapixel ultra wide angle camera compared to a 16 megapixel ultra wide angle camera with the Moto G Stylus. And with both phones, we are getting a 2 megapixel macro camera. Now, the biggest difference with the ultra wide angle cameras with these two phones is that with the Moto G Power, you can record video and take photos with the ultra wide angle camera. But with the Moto G Stylus, you can only take video with the ultra wide angle camera. There is no support with the Moto G Stylus to take photos with that ultra wide camera. So that's very surprising and kind of strange, but that is certainly something that you will want to know before considering either of these two phones. Now, one of the features that the Moto G Stylus does offer though with the ultra wide angle camera is a feature called Action Cam. So essentially, you can record horizontal video by holding the phone vertically, and that's what uses the ultra-wide angle camera. So they're kind of going for a GoPro approach here, but again, you do get that limitation of not being able to take photos with that ultra-wide camera. And then with the Moto G Power, we're getting more of a traditional setup. So you can take photos and videos with the ultra-wide camera, but you don't get this cool feature here where you can record horizontal video while having the phone vertical. But you can see right here with the Moto G Power, I have the camera set to the ultra-wide angle camera, and with the Moto G Stylus, I have it set to the standard camera, and you can see how much more content is able to fit into the frame using the ultra-wide angle camera with the Moto G Power. So this is really useful if you're going on vacation, for example. Maybe you want to take pictures of scenery or different things in your surroundings. Then that's something that you can do with the G Power but you can't do with the Moto G Stylus. Now, both phones feature portrait mode with both the front and rear cameras. Both devices feature 4 gigabytes of RAM, and they both feature the Qualcomm Snapdragon 665 processor. Now, I did run a benchmark test with both phones, and I'll show you the scores that I got. And you can see that with the Moto G Power, I got an overall score of 173,858. And with the Moto G Stylus, I got a score of 165,528. So these scores are very close. It is interesting, though, that the Moto G Power does score a little bit better compared to the Stylus, but these scores, like I said, are so close together that there really won't be any sort of noticeable difference in performance from the two phones. And thankfully, with that type of score on each of these phones, you will get good performance overall. Certainly nowhere near a flagship level of performance like you'd get with higher-end devices like the Samsung Galaxy S20, for example. But for the majority of people out there, both of these phones will certainly get the job done. Of course, if you want to do more advanced things like video editing on your phone or high-intensity games, then these phones will probably struggle with that. But if you're looking for a phone for social media, browsing the web, phone calls, text messages, video chats, all that stuff, these phones will be great for it. Now with both devices, we get 4K video with the rear camera and 1080p with the front. With the Moto G Power, we get a beefy 5,000 milliamp hour internal battery compared to a smaller, but still large, 4,000 milliamp hour internal battery with the Moto G Stylus. So you are getting 1,000 extra milliamp hours of battery capacity with the Moto G Power, which is really cool. Now, neither of these phones feature NFC, which is too bad, but they do both feature Android 10, and you can see we're getting a pretty stock experience here. Now, with both devices, I did install some of my favorite applications to use as I test both phones, but out of the box, you're pretty much getting an entirely Google experience with a couple of extra applications added by Motorola, such as this Moto app, and with the G Stylus, we get Moto Audio. Now, taking a closer look at the hardware of these two phones, they feature an all-plastic build, of course, besides the display itself. But taking a look at the left side of the two phones, we just have the slot for the microSD card and SIM card. Then on the right side of the two devices, we have the power button and volume button. Then on the top of the two phones, we have the noise-canceling microphone. And then on the bottom, we have the speaker, we have the microphone, we have the USB-C port for charging and data transfer, we have the headphone jacks on both devices, and then of course with the Moto G Stylus, we are getting the stylus here. So that's the whole point why this phone is called the Moto G Stylus. You can use the stylus to take different notes, write things down like that. You can erase things too. So overall, really nice to see here. You know, the stylus can also be used for general navigation around the phone as well. So you can use it as an alternative to using your greasy fingers to navigate around the phone. So I don't think the stylus is a gimmick, that's for sure. I know there's many situations where it can really come in handy. And of course, watch my Moto G Stylus full review video to see my full thoughts about it. But in general, I think it is a useful feature to have. Now with the Moto G Power, you are not getting a stylus, but you are getting a larger battery. And you're also getting the ability to take photos with the ultra wide angle camera. So those are really the only two perks that I can think of with the Moto G Power compared to the G Stylus. Let's now do a speed test comparison between these two devices. So we're going to start by pulling up the camera apps on both phones. So 1, 2, 3, go. And it looks like it was about a tie with the two devices, as I would expect. Let's now go to Google Chrome. So 1, 2, 3, go. And it looks like the Moto G Stylus is a little bit quicker at pulling up Google Chrome. Let's go to yahoo.com. 1, 2, 3, go. And it looks like it was about a tie with the two devices. Let's go to engadget.com. 1, 2, 3, go. And it looks like the Moto G Power was faster in that instance. Let's go to this article right here. 1, 2, 3, go. And it looks like it was about a tie with the two phones. Now scrolling with both devices is very smooth, which is great to see. So very good software optimization here. Pinch to zoom is very smooth as well. So that's fantastic. So in conclusion, which phone is the better choice of the two? Now I already partially answered that question a couple of minutes ago prior in the video. But essentially with the Moto G Power, the advantages here is that you're getting a larger battery and you're getting the ability to take photos with the ultra wide angle camera. And with the Moto G Stylus, The advantages here are that you're getting double the amount of internal storage, you're getting higher megapixel counts across the board with the various cameras, and of course you are getting the stylus as well, which is a really cool feature to have. Definitely something very unique there. But beyond that, those are pretty much the primary differences between these two phones. So they do have quite a few similarities, but you really have to think about what is most important to you. If you're someone who is tired of your phone constantly running out of battery, then the Moto G Power is likely the better choice. But if you're someone who is always running out of storage, then the Moto G Stylus might be the way to go. So I'm really interested to know what you think in the comment section below. Definitely let me know what your opinion is for which phone is better. Of course, another bonus with the Moto G Power is that you are going to be saving an extra $50 compared to the Moto G Stylus, so suppose there's some value in that as well. So unlike many of my other comparisons, these phones are so similar that it really comes down to personal preference for which one you prefer. For me personally, I would probably choose the G Stylus because I like the stylus feature, but most importantly, I like that we're getting so much internal storage. I understand that you can put a micro SD card in either of the two phones, but that's definitely not an equal substitute to getting extra internal storage, especially since there's some applications that don't support using a micro SD card to store the app. So I really do appreciate how much internal storage we are getting with the G Stylus. But enough of me talking about that, I want to hear what you think. Which phone do you think is the better choice of the two, and which one is a better fit for your needs and your lifestyle? I hope you enjoyed this video though. If you want to see the most up-to-date pricing for either of the two phones, take a look at the link in the video description. But this is Kevin here, this is the Moto G Power, and this is the Moto G Stylus, and I will see you in the next video.